I've looked up to you all my life. You know that? I actually idolized you. My dad and I used to watch you on TV. So just, imagine my surprise when it turns out that you're actually the worst person in the entire world. Not the third worst, the worst!
What's going on?
Pomeroy, you broke the latest Daybreak EP.
Who's the most unpleasant person that you've worked with? Don't answer that. This story tells of a young and determined television producer who lands a job at a struggling morning news show and attempts to rejuvenate it while dealing with warring co-hosts. Well, Morning Glory is a 2010 romantic comedy drama film starring Rachel McAdams in the lead role.
Aspiring news producer Becky Fuller has dreamt since childhood of working for the Today Show. But her over-dedication to her career puts off potential suitors. Laid off from her job at Good Morning New Jersey, her mother advises her to give up on her dreams before it becomes an embarrassment. But Becky perseveres and receives a call from IBS News, which is seeking a producer for its struggling national morning show, Daybreak.
Daybreak needs what I need. Someone who believes that it can succeed. Trust me, I know you don't have any reason to believe in me. But I work harder than anyone else. I'm in first, I'm out last. I know a shitload more about the news than someone whose daddy paid them to smoke bongs and talk semiotics at Harvard. And I devote myself completely to my job. It's what I do, it's all I am. You can ask anyone.
Well, that's embarrassing.
After a discouraging job interview with executive Jerry Barnes, who dismisses both her and Daybreak as also-rans, Becky is brushed off in the elevator by one of her heroes, veteran television journalist Mike Pomeroy. Seemingly against his better judgment, Jerry hires Becky as Daybreak's executive producer, and she moves to New York City. On her first day, Becky realizes she has signed on to a show in turmoil, lacking direction and money. After meeting acerbic, long-suffering co-host Colleen Pex, Becky finds the lecturer's co-host Paul McVie, to her co-workers' delight. While searching for a replacement, she finds out that Mike Pomeroy is still under IBS contract, so she approaches him to offer him the job.
Mike Pomeroy, the IBS network would like to offer you the position of co-host of Daybreak.
You're joking.
No, actually I'm not.
You have any idea what's going on in the world, and you want me to do stories about baked Alaska after the career that I've had?
Becky found a clause in Mike's contract requiring him to accept an official job offer or lose his salary, forcing him to comply. Mike shows up, but contemptuous of morning television, Mike tries to sabotage his Daybreak debut by getting drunk. He refuses to banter, rejects segments he feels are beneath him, and antagonizes Colleen.
Excuse me, who's going to say goodbye?
Pardon?
Well, at the end of the show?
Oh, doesn't really matter. I mean, Mike, you don't mind if Colleen says goodbye?
Well, who do you
My
think
audience-
the public would rather hear from last? Someone who's won every broadcast award on the face of the planet? Or the former Miss Pacoima?
It's Arizona. In case you're interested, I was Miss Arizona!
Becky meets Adam Bennett, a fellow IBS producer who worked with the difficult Mike. They begin dating, and though Becky is always consumed with work, Adam is supportive of her dedication to the job. Becky attempts to appease Mike, but he remains unenthusiastic and unpleasant. Becky is called into Jerry's office and informed that IBS plans to cancel Daybreak in 6 weeks, and blames her for the ratings' further slump. So when Mike continues to be uncooperative, Becky finally snaps.
Mike!
Becky.
That's it!
Becky, what are you doing? What are you...
Mike, I need to talk to you.
Becky, we're back
I'm
in
sorry,
6
this will
weeks.
just take a second. I've looked up to you all my life. You know that? I actually idolized you. My dad and I used to watch you on TV. So just, imagine my surprise when it turns out that you're actually the worst person in the entire world.
She gives him a piece of her mind, and later returns to Jerry's office to persuade him to give her the show's remaining 6 weeks to vastly improve ratings. First, Becky sends Ernie, Daybreak's weatherman on stunts like riding roller coasters and skydiving. Soon, Colleen decides to join Becky's campaign to rejuvenate the show.
Look, I see what you're doing. I think it's great. It's exactly what I've been waiting for. So just, sign me up, coach, put me in, whatever you want to call it, all right?
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have any pre-existing conditions?
Are you kidding? Look at me. I'm a rock.
The show is immediately diversified and becomes much more lively. Colleen wrestles a sumo wrestler, interviews wild animals, and dances with little ballerinas. This all helps with the show's ratings, and Becky even manages to get 50 cents on the show, but Jerry remains unconvinced. During one of the news segments, Mike continues to undermine Colleen, causing her to finally lose it as well.
Tomorrow on the show, Colleen will make the British classic Bangers and Mash with Chef Gordon Ramsay.
That's right, I will. Because you refuse to do it, Mike. Yes, it's beneath you.
Well, it's tough to get between you and a sausage, so.
Sausage, that's a good one. Yes, and also you are a fatuous, pretentious idiot. So there's that.
A fatuous idiot who makes 3 times what you make.
Well, that's our show for this morning. See you tomorrow, folks. Goodbye.
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 And goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Yeah, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Bye.
One night, Adam, not realizing what is on the line, teases Becky about how caught up she is in improving the ratings. Saying this as a criticism she has heard from other men, Becky walks out. With the 6-week deadline approaching, Mike shows interest in doing a story on a sauerkraut festival, surprising his colleagues. The next morning, Becky accompanies him, but realizes he's going to the governor's summer house instead and informs him that the show will be cancelled. Undeterred, Mike confronts the governor on charges of racketeering, breaking the story of his arrest on live television. Afterwards, Mike shares with Becky that he was similarly overcommitted to his job at the expense of his family and personal life.
Let me tell you how it turns out. You end up with nothing. Nothing. Which is what I had. Until you came along.
Wait a second. Did you just say something nice to me?
I told you I could banter.
The live arrest increases Daybreak's ratings enough to secure another year for the show, and Becky receives a job offer from the Today Show, her childhood dream job. She reconnects with Adam to share the good news. He encourages her to go after it, but she hesitates because she feels like Daybreak is family now. Thinking she's got through to Mike, she asks him to do a segment, but he reverts right back to his old self and rejects her idea. So Becky lashes out.
You can't do one story for me? Oh my God, what is wrong with me? What am I doing here? Beating my head against this wall. I might as well just go to the Today Show where you don't have to poke Matt Lauer with a stick
Show?
to get into. Yes, they offered me a job.
Of course.
But you know what? I said
Time to move on. You'll love the Today Show. You and Vieira can do menopause stories every week.
You know what's really ridiculous? Is that until about 10 seconds ago, I'd actually considered turning my back on the best job I've ever been offered. Isn't that totally absurd?
What's keeping you?
As a result, Becky accepts the job interview, with Daybreak playing in the background. After Colleen reveals to Mike that his refusal to adapt has driven Becky away, he walks off air and storms the kitchen. This catches Becky's eyes, and she watches in shock as Mike presents a cooking segment, expertly showing viewers how to make a frittata. Recognizing that this is Mike's way of apologizing, Becky abandons the interview and runs back to the studio, deciding to remain at Daybreak, where she belongs. They continue to thrive while Becky's career is on the rise, and she has at last found fulfillment both in her work and her relationships.
His gravity leavens the silliness of morning TV, making for an incongruous but somehow perfect match. Turns out that after 40 years in the business, the real Mike Pomeroy has finally arrived. Not bad.
Morning Glory teaches us the value of persistence, innovation, teamwork, and a healthy work-life balance in the pursuit of career success, with a reminder of the enduring importance of quality journalism and the potential for personal growth and second chances. 接下来我们来揭晓今天的学习内容。 Sign me up, coach, put me in. This is an informal and enthusiastic way of expressing one's willingness to participate or get involved in something. It is often used in a sports context, but can also be applied more broadly to various situations. In a sports context, when a player says, "Sign me up, coach, put me in," they are expressing their eagerness to join the game or competition. So, here we see Colleen expressing her willingness to be part of the rejuvenation of the show. The expression "beating my head against this wall" is a figurative way of describing a situation where someone is spending a lot of effort and energy trying to achieve something or solve a problem, but they are making little to no progress. It conveys a sense of frustration, futility, and the idea that the person's efforts are not yielding the desired result. Becky describes her relationship to Mike as beating her head against a wall because there are little to no progress made. And that's it for this episode of Cinephile. You can find more on the Funday website. Let's make every day a fun day.
Mike Pomeroy, the IBS network would like to offer you the position of co-host of Daybreak.
You're joking.
No, actually I'm not.
You have any idea what's going on in the world, and you want me to do stories about baked Alaska?
Do today learn. Today is Tuesday.
Commercial.
Traveler 是旅行者。
I have to wait for Clee.
So he or she is at the Columbia Towers Hotel gift store. 所以他在这个饭店的礼品店，然后他要买东西。Okay, so let's take this chance and listen to the.
学习，让生活充满乐趣。